Swarajya Samrajya Vibhutiresha Bhavat Kripa Shri Mahima Prasadat Prapta Maya Shri Gurave Mahatmane Namo Namaste Stu Punarnamostu Namo Namaste Stu Punarnamostu Namo Namaste Stu Punarnamostu Namastasmai Sadaikasmai Kasmai Chinmahase Namaha Yadetad Vishwarupena Rajate Guru Rajate Yadetad Vishwarupena Rajate Guru Rajate. Hari Om Tat Sat. See, in our country now we have lot of strife from a basic misunderstanding which was not there in our country. But being under foreign rule for a long time, particularly under the British rule, because as long as we were under the Islamic rule, they tried to convert people or break temple and other institutions. They had set fire to our Nalanda also, the famous international university, where the library building was about 9 floors. It was set on fire, and the fire burned for 3 months, they say. Huan Sang has written that. And along with that, they burned alive quite a few thousands of teachers and students. All this they did, but they did not try to torpedo our culture in a clandestine manner, what the British people did. They understood, the British people understood, particularly Macaulay, that unless we break this backbone of this country, on which the whole culture of the country is based, we will not be able to rule it. The way is to educate them in an altogether different manner so that they start respecting us, the English education and the Western civilization, the industrial revolution, whatever has happened, the industry and material civilization, and they come away from their culture. And their particular interest was to take away the people who were given to Sanskritic study, those who were teaching the scriptures and other things propagating there, to take them away and lure them to some sort of a job in the city, so that this knowledge of the scriptures are no more available to the people, so that the people lose their heritage and it becomes very easy for us to rule them. They did it and they succeeded in doing it. But we, after 60 years of independence also, still not able to get over that cultural slavery. Still we look down upon our culture and look with awe to whatever is Western. At the same time, we don't take up the qualities they represent. The Western people, whatever qualities they have, that we don't try to imbibe. But we only look with awe their material progress or material civilization. This, when will it be fully set right, I don't know, but we are trying hard to do it. That is how the whole spiritual culture of our country became a religion, and they named it Hindu religion. It's absolutely wrong. It is absolute misinterpretation, and how our people also have taken to it with a lot of misunderstanding. That is extremely surprising. The Hinduism, whatever we call, it is neither an ism nor a religion at all. India had developed thousands of years this Upanishadic culture, the spiritual culture was living in this country. It is prehistoric, so we cannot say. It could be 10,000, it could be 20,000, it could be anything. Because the way we get it now in its final form, it was available right when the history started. Before that, even at least 5,000 years, 7,000 years ago, it was right like this as it is now. We are getting. So it was in its full form, developed form, at least 10,000 years ago. So how long back it started and when it was developed, nobody can say. It is prehistoric. It could be 20,000, it could be 30,000, it could be anything. The basic reason for it is that our dharma is called Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana means eternal. Because the whole dharma, this culture of our country, it is based on an eternal content. What is that? That is our real identity. That is the I we refer to, but we don't know who we really are. It is based on the true identity we are, the consciousness in us. It is based on that, which is same for any human being anywhere in the world. So this spirituality is not different depending on the racial origin, religious origin, or say country, national origin, nothing. As I always say that if we say that physics, chemistry, mathematics, they are British or they are American or they are Christian, and we keep them away, who will be the loser? Do they depend on where they have originated, that they have originated from England or America or Russia? Does it depend on that? It is equal and same for everybody anywhere in the world because they are the truth of nature. Like that, in our country, our rishis, whom we call the scientists, the ancient scientists of our country, but a little difference is there. They were the subjective scientists. Instead of looking into and finding out the objective truth or objective discoveries, they investigated into our own subject, our own personality, and through that they landed upon the ultimate truth which solves both the quest of objective and subjective doubts. So these rishis, the scientists of our country, they analyzed and they found out the ultimate solution of human life does not depend on any material gain. However much we may have material gains, we may know the world, the problem of our mind, the problems of our mind, of our personality will never be solved. So they went looking within and found out the truth about our identity. And whatever they found experimentally, they have recorded that. Upanishads are the record of the experimental findings of our ancient scientists, our rishis. We must understand that. It is not mystic. It is nothing to do with any mystic surmise or anything, theory or anything. They are experimentally observed truths. And the rest of it is the theory built on that truth. It is exactly as in science, we have first the experimental observations, and to explain the experimental or to understand the experimental observations, we relate them by forming some theories. Suppose if I leave this will fall down, it will not go up. We cannot do anything about it. It is nature. We say that why it is falling, we say it is because of gravity. It is not true. It is not falling because of gravity. It is falling is a fact of nature. Like that, there are so many other phenomena in nature. To explain them, to harmonize them, to understand them, we have formulated a law of gravity. That is, the theory has come later. The gravitational law may change. The law of gravity may change. As it has actually happened, the Newtonian laws have changed so many times. There are Einsteinian laws, there are various other laws. As we progress more and more in the experimental level, the laws are changing. But that it is falling when we leave it, it is not going to change. It's an experimental fact. Like that, whatever the rishis found about our own personality, about our identity, about our soul, about the consciousness in us, it is not going to change. It is an experimental discovery. And they have recorded that in the Upanishads. Upanishads generally do not have much of theory around it. They are statements of facts. Whatever they have found, they have openly written about it. Later on, we have developed various theories to rationalize and to understand them, just as we do in science also. So how can we call them religious and keep them away that it is only true of a few people who follow our religion? It is not so. It is true of every human being on earth, and it is true of all the societies. The earlier they come to realize this, the better. But how can we expect that all of them will come to realize when we ourselves are not able to realize? For our own country, we are not able to realize it. So it is, first of all, the Bharatiya people, the Indian people, it is our duty to recognize the place and the purpose and the magnificence of this culture that we have inherited, but we have neglected grossly. We are ungrateful to our ancient rishis that we have neglected this culture handed down to us. Can you imagine any literature remaining alive for thousands and thousands of years? If somebody writes some poetry all now, within 100 years, 200 years, they become completely obsolete. Nobody cares about them. Unless something has got an eternal content, will anything remain for such a long period? That itself should call for our respect and our attention. That how is it possible that it is still available with us? What is the true element in that? That is why it is called Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana means eternal. It is eternal in two ways. One is that it is based on this eternal content which will never change. Around that we have various puja, achara, etc., the religious things, everything. They are all based on this Sanatana Dharma, but they will undergo change. There are various social customs, social rules which are in the Samhitas. The Samhitas also will change from time to time. There had been so many Samhitas. Now we have our constitution. The present Samhita is our constitution. So depending on the social need, social structure, the Samhitas also have been changing. There have been Jajyamalka Samhita, there have been Manu Samhita, there had been so many Samhitas. Depending on the era they were written, they are all changeful. But in our country, whatever such constitutions, Samhitas have been written, they were all based on this eternal content. Although they were dealing with the changeful aspects, but their basis, fundamental basis, was on the eternal content of our culture. And that made them sustain the civilization for such a long period. Our civilization has lived such thousands and thousands of years only because of this eternal content. So it is Sanatana because it has this Sanatana content in it, and also it is Sanatana because if somebody follows this dharma, by following that, he will become eternal. Do you mark my point? It is eternal. Whatever is presented, the truth is eternal. The other point is that this truth is about what? It is not about the sky, it is not about the Mangala Graha, or it is not about the steel or anything in the world. This truth is about our own self, about our own identity. So if this truth is eternal, when we realize this truth, we become eternal. There lies the Sanatana Dharma. That it is Sanatana not only because it is eternal, but it is Sanatana because it makes us Sanatana when we follow and we realize the truth. The whole Dharma stands on this eternal aspect. Now, we are supposed to talk about Bhagavadgeeta as an eternal science, as a universal science. This Bhagavadgeeta is nothing but the Upanishadic knowledge. It was there even before Bhagavadgeeta in a widespread manner because Upanishads are much older, and in Bhagavadgeeta you will find each chapter ends with Bhagavadgeeta Su Upanishadsu. That means Bhagavadgeeta, which is the knowledge in the Upanishad. It is presenting the knowledge of the Upanishad in a different manner, that's all. In what manner? In a contemporary manner. When Bhagavad Gita was written, it was matching that contemporary society it was presented. Why? Because Upanishadic knowledge, as it was practiced in our country, it was reserved only for few people. Why? Because the method of understanding, realizing this truth was extreme one-pointed dedication. That those who would not be any more attracted by the worldly likes and dislikes, attracted or repelled by the worldly likes and dislikes, whose mind will not be distracted by anything in the world, such people could take to that kind of one-pointed study. You can understand easily if you sit with, even with Bhagavadgeeta, so most of you say that we don't find interest, our mind does not remain, it goes here and there. If you sit for meditation, then also the same complaint we hear, that we are not able to meditate. Those who have taken initiation also, they meditate for some time. After that, very soon, that 1 hour becomes half an hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, then occasionally. सब कोई बोलते हैं कि हम काम करते करते कर लेते हैं स्वामी जी. बिकॉज स्वामी जी बोलते हैं कि इंटरैक्शनल साधना, तो सब कोई उसको पकड़ लेते हैं इंटरैक्शनल साधना, क्योंकि इंटरैक्शनल साधना में आपको मेडिटेशन में बैठने का ज़रूरत नहीं है, अपने मन के साथ लड़ाई करने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, तो वो आसान हो जाता है. बट इंटरैक्शनल साधना, दैट साधना पार्ट नोबडी वरीज जनरली. They remain in interaction and they say interactional sadhana. As we often say, हम कर्म योग करते हैं. कर्म करना कर्म योग नहीं है. कर्म तो सबको ही करते हैं. कर्म जो योगी, those who do the actions, perform the actions with the yogic attitude, जिनके मन में वो योग की भावना से भावना जगी रहती है, उसके साथ जो कर्म करते हैं वो कर्मयोग बनता है. कर्म करना कर्मयोग नहीं है. कर्म नहीं करके भी हम कर्मयोग करते हैं, कर सकते हैं. बिकॉज इफ वी अंडरस्टैंड द कर्म योगा भगवद गीता, दैट सिद्ध सिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वम योग उच्यते. आई थिंक इट इज 2.49 or so, second chapter. It is the definition of yoga in Bhagavad Gita. We say Bhagavad Gita is Karma Yoga, Karma Yoga. It is not Karma Yoga. Bhagavad Gita is a great synthesis of the entire Indian culture. Not only religion, it's an entire Indian culture. It's a synthetic presentation of that, great synthesis of the culture. Anyway, the main yoga that is spoken of in Bhagavad Gita is the Samatva Yoga, we say. That is the Karma Yoga. Samatva Yoga is Siddhya Siddhyo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Yoga Uchyate. Yoga is defined as Samatva. What is that Samatva? The keeping the evenness in Siddhi and Asiddhi. That means in success and failure. Keeping the mind even-minded. That means making the mind ready to accept whatever comes, whether it is success or failure or a mixture of the two. The mind should be ready to accept that. Now, if we, without doing karma also, even while studying Bhagavad Gita also, if we prepare our mind, if we culture our mind to keep in that evenness, to imbue evenness to the mind, then I am doing karma yoga without doing karma also. This is something we should understand. Whereas while doing lot of karma, I may be engaged in Herculean task, but while doing it, I am not aware of this evenness of the mind. I am not caring for the evenness of the mind. I am doing it egoistically. I am doing it when if there is success, I am great. I boast. I become very egoistic. I become very happy. If there is failure, I become depressed. And I am not worried about that mindset. We are going on doing karma egoistically. Then it is not called karma yoga at all. It is only karma, not yoga. So, that Bhagavad Gita, in Upanishadic Vidya, we call it Kevala Jnana Nishtha. That is exclusive knowledge pursuit. That was there in our country from prehistoric time. We don't know how long it was there. There, the purpose was to completely dedicate our mind, our intelligence to Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. These are the three aspects of the sadhana. That means listening, first of all, listening to the truth, preferably from a knower. Because if we listen to the truth from anybody, it will not have its power. We will not imbibe its power. So generally Shravana means listening to the truth, or even reading the truth. Reading from the scriptures also partly Shravana. Listening to the truth. Then Manana means analyzing that, well, they have said that Atma is one, Atma is all pervading, but all along I have been hearing that Atma is many, it comes out of one body and goes into another body, it has birth, death, etc. But Bhagavad-Gita says, Na jayate na mriyate va kadachit, it never dies, it never gets born. Not only that, it never is touched by anything happening in the world. Even if there is a nuclear blast, the Atma will not be touched. If there is dukkha, it is not touched by that. If there is sukha, it is not touched by that, because it is all pervading, it cannot move. Then what is this Atma they are talking about? This is called manana, to try to analyze and compare with our own concepts and to understand the truth. That is called manana. It has to be constant. That manana has to go on constantly. When by this kind of a manana, finally all our doubts are resolved, that we have no doubt about what the Shastras are saying, what the Guru is saying, about the truth of the soul, about the Brahman, we have no doubt at all from the intelligence. No doubt is raised by the intelligence. Then the part of manana is over. Manana attains its fruition. Then comes nididhyasana. Once the mind does not have any doubt about the truth, then the mind, because this truth is all pervading one, the whole world is appearing in the truth, our mind remains constantly in that truth. We say taila dharavat. That means if you pour water, it gets split into droplets. And if you pour oil, then it flows in a single stream. So in manana, it is like droplets, that sometimes we are thinking, sometimes we are not thinking, and there is crisscross thinking. It is effortful. But in nididhyasana, it is effortless flow of the mind with the truth. That mind remains in the contemplation of the truth, and it is an effortless process, the maturation of which is the knowledge. Now this is the Upanishadic pursuit which was there in our country. In Bhagavad-Gita, the speciality is that we call Bhagavad-Gita a revolutionary presentation of the spiritual knowledge. Why revolutionary? Because Upanishadic Vidya was applicable to only few people who can take to this kind of an exclusive jnana-nishtha, exclusive knowledge pursuit. It was not meant for all. Very few people will be able to take to it. Those who by birth have a certain purity, those who are not distracted by any desires of the world or hatred of the world, such people would be able to take to it. But what about others? So Bhagavad Gita presented the same goal for anybody, anywhere in the world, working in any field. Mark my word. Anybody, anywhere in the world, working in any field of action, any field of activity. It is applicable to all, but provided, there is only one provided he wants the growth promised in Bhagavad Gita. That is, he wants to develop the Samatva Yoga, or whatever is promised, or ultimately the Brahmic realization. If he is interested in it, then whatever the person is doing, it does not matter at all. Bhagavad Gita says that the path is open to you. Nothing is closed for you. Only what do you have to do? You pursue your own activity, but change your attitude. That is what I said just now. That karma yoga, make all your karma, convert them into yoga by introducing the yoga attitude in your mind. You don't have to change your karma. Karma will automatically undergo some change. But the attitude has to be installed in your mind. The yoga attitude has to be cultivated in the mind. So whatever activities they are doing, according to the activities will depend on the nature of the people. Somebody will be involved in learning, teaching, etc. Some people will be involved in industry. Some people will be involved in business, trading. Some people will be involved in other manual work or serving others, various things. But whatever work they are doing, if they can make their mind siddhya siddhyo samabhutva, samatvam yoga uchyate, if they can cultivate this yoga attitude, then the goal is available to anybody. And the height of presentation in Bhagavad Gita comes in 18th chapter, where he has talked about the 4 varnas. And finally, I doubt where this another point which is widely misunderstood, but today I would not be able to speak about it. Often this varna is understood as caste, and not only that, it is understood absolutely wrongly. It is a varna is created by nature. The difference, without variety, there cannot be any creation. Creation means variety.